Rev up your engines!
Well, if you're looking for a new compact truck in the United States, you don't have much choice. Well, it looks like things might be getting better. There's the Ford Maverick and the Hyundai Santa Cruz. Let's face it, the Ford F-150 is a big truck, and they're popular. But the old Rangers, they just don't cut the mustard anymore. The Mavericks selling like mad. Rangers are kind of going away. They just have had their day, right? And the Mavericks taking over from them. But there seems to be some competition coming up. There's the Chevy Montana. Now, looks quite a bit like a Honda Ridgeline, right? Now, as it stands today, they only sell those things in Brazil, but maybe they'll start selling them in the United States. They see there's a market. They're building the things, right? They might as well start bringing them to the United States. Now, the only thing I've got against it is it's got this tiny little 1.2-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine. That's not going to cut the mustard in the United States. Even Ford was going to put these Turbo 3s in a bunch of their stuff, and they pulled them out of the United States, most of them. They still sell some in England and Europe and stuff, but it's been a massive failure engine, so I wouldn't advise GM to import that thing into the United States with a 3-cylinder engine. A 4-cylinder engine, which would make more sense. I mean, it's only got 132 horsepower in Brazil. That's too little for the United States. Then there's the Ram Rampage, which is also only sold in Brazil. Maybe they'll start bringing them in the United States. It's a 2-liter turbocharged for 268 horsepower, so that makes more sense. Maybe these guys will wise up and start bringing in mid-size, smaller-size trucks because hey, there's a market for them, people. Don't think everything has to be big, big, big. I understand the companies want to make the most money as possible. The bigger the trucks, the more they cost, the more profit they have, right? But guess what? Ford's selling a lot of these Mavericks, even though they're having problems with them, they're still selling a lot of them. Shows that there's a market for small trucks. So, maybe Toyota will bring their Stout in. No one knows. That's all just, rumor as far as it stands today. But it would make sense for Toyota to bring a small truck back. A lot of people want small trucks. Are you listening, car manufacturers? Well, old Donald Trump now says the U.S. economy is in transition as the trade war escalates. Now, he's talking about this tariffs and stuff, and that's shaking up the markets and the stock market. And the one thing the stock market and economic stuff don't like is they don't like uncertainty. It's kind of obvious to even a fool that we have been in massive inflation, maybe even hyperinflation, for years. Go to the grocery store. I'm doing my taxes now, and I'm looking at the cost of things, and I find out that, geez, what I used to get for $160 at the grocery store is now $260. That's not a 2% a year increase, baby. And we buy the same stuff. My wife's a fanatic about what she eats. She buys the same stuff, right? So we're buying the same exact stuff we bought before. Instead of $167, it's $267. So don't tell me that we have 2% inflation. That's a line of hogwash that they're trying to throw at us. We've already been in this pretty much hyperinflation as it stands. Like, oh, they're uncertain. I don't know about this, don't know that. But you also have to look at the stock market itself, part of the economy, right? It's as high as it's ever been recently. It's a bloated pig. All the stock market is like a giant balloon. It blows up. It breaks, it goes down, then it blows up. And it used to take a long time for it to blow up. Now it blows up faster and it sinks faster. So it's no surprise that there's going to be a problem there. You can't keep bloating things up. Look at Tesla, a completely overrated company, $1 trillion wealth. It's stupid. It's not worth that, right? It just isn't. Now it's coming back down to earth and people are realizing, hey, people don't really like these electric cars. Hey, he made a lot of profit on selling carbon credits and buying Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin when it went over $100,000. I mean, that was just insanity, right? Now that's coming back down. And of course, the value of the company comes back down too. A lot of this stuff is built on fantasy or borrowed money. In the case of the stock market, it's been proven to be insanity for a lot of valuations, overvaluations. In the case of the government, it's borrowing money to run the government. It's all run on borrowed money. Then every year, we're running out of money. Okay, let's increase the debt ceiling. We'll borrow even more money. It's got to come to some stop. You can't just keep borrowing money and not paying it back. And if they lower the interest rates, guess what? They'll start borrowing even more money, make it even worse. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, we've been lied to by the economists. If they told us the truth about inflation, at least then you could say, we really is big inflation. We got to stop this. Not saying, oh, we only live in a 2.6% yearly inflation. That is nonsense. Well, one of your viewers, Andrew Botvin, is mad, and I don't blame him. He bought a brand new Corvette, and it looks like the transmission broke almost immediately immediately. He says, Scotty, I came across your YouTube channel, and I'm shattered because GM sold me a Corvette, and they're not making it right yet. I purchased this Corvette on March 1st. And March 5th, after 141 total miles, of which 100 was driving it back from the dealership, I don't have an answer. It's not running right, and likely it's going to need a new transmission. Chevrolet won't replace the vehicle. They said, we are going to put another engine in. So they gave me a Chevy Trax as a loaner. We paid for a Corvette. He's getting a Chevy Trax as a loaner. And here's what else he says. This is a big deal for me to purchase this car. I went from total euphoria and excitement to wanting to cry. Now, I can just about guarantee you they're not going to give you another Corvette. If it's a transmission, they'll put another transmission in. But you got 141 miles on it. This is why I tell people, do not buy GM products. They are crap these days. Absolute crap. All that money for a new Corvette, race it, and the transmission went out. Well, he's not even sure what it is yet because they haven't even told him. But it looks like, from what he said, the way it went, that the transmission went out, and they've had problems with their automatic transmissions. All that money for one of those cars, they can't even build a transmission for the thing. Well, what do you expect, you know? And of course, they didn't make it right. And please, if you're thinking about buying one of those and you value your money, learn from this guy. Don't go out and buy one of these new Corvettes. You want a Corvette? Get one of the older ones. They were building them for a long time. They were okay, right? Their new design, they're just having nothing but problems with. Well, Toyota launched their cheapest EV in China. It's a little SUV, and it crashed their internet. They had so many orders that it crashed the website that they have because they start at just a little over $15,000. Now, granted, this is in China. Right? And although they say Toyota launched it, it's actually a joint venture between Toyota and GAC, a big Chinese company. So basically, it's a Chinese electric SUV. It's not really a Toyota. They're just, they want to get in on China because China is now the number one auto market in the world. Used to be the United States. Now we're number two and China's number one. So it only makes sense that, hey, they're quick jumping in because Toyota never put much into electric vehicles. They have their one that they had in the United States was pretty much a dismal failure. But Toyota didn't care. They didn't push it. They're big into hybrids. This is a fully battery electric built vehicle in China, and it really didn't have anything to do with Toyota. They're just putting their name down on it, just like Honda selling the electric Prologue in the United States. They were late with battery electric cars too, right? It's a Chevrolet product. It is not Honda-made product. The Prologue is just a rebadged electric GM vehicle. So this is the same thing in China only. I mean, if they could sell those things for $15,000, boy, and they're SUVs, and they work, that's a game changer. Well, it looks like Volkswagen may be hitting the nail on the head soon and going back to their roots of the tiny little Volkswagen Beetle. Volkswagen is now supposed to be coming out with a 20,000 euro electric car, which is like 21,500 US dollars. Yeah, the euro's been going down. It's not worth what it used to be, right? I guess so they're going to call it the ID.1. Why don't they give them real names? It's ridiculous, right? But they say it's going to be a regular car, and it's going to have 4 doors and cost only $21,000. Now, if they can make things like that, I can see more people accepting them as an experiment of electric car. It's a hatchback, kind of looks a little like a Kia Soul. You see the picture that they think it's going to look like. They're not making them yet, but this is their plan. No, it's not for everybody. They say it's probably going to have a range of 162 miles, but for a city runaround car, that's generally pretty good. Plug it in your house at night, not a bad idea from Volkswagen. Stop trying to sell people these super expensive electric Audis. Volkswagen owns Audi, of course, which they pretty much can't give away now. Nobody wants to buy them. Go back to your roots. Make a small, lower-priced electric vehicles for people to drive around. And just like the Volkswagen Beetles, they weren't for everyone, but millions of people did buy them. Well, the wind turbines seem to be falling apart as usual. Now, a wind turbine collapsed in Oklahoma. It started up in 2021, so the thing is, barely 4 years old, and it's already collapsed. And they say, due to unknown circumstances, the wind turbine collapsed. Well, I know what caused it. Gravity. What do they say? What goes up must come down. And those wind turbines are pretty high. And yes, when they fall, they do come down. And this particular one lasted 4 years. Okay? My house in Rhode Island, There's one that's a mile and a half from my house, right? The first one they put up, that thing lasted like 5 years. It broke. There's another one down the road. It's been broken for over 16 years, and it's still not spinning. People, please stop thinking that these wind turbines are going to save us. They're just a giant pain in the rear end. They cost a ton of money. They don't last that long. They're dangerous, and don't base our electric grid on these stupid windmills. Hey, if windmills worked, we would have windmills all over the place, right? They stopped using windmills in the United States pretty much in the late 1800s because they found out they weren't efficient enough. They didn't put out all that much power. And what makes people think they can bring the stupid things back is beyond me. And then they say, we can't understand why it fell down. Well, because there's gravity and it's way up in the air. And when they break, boom, down they go, right? And the thing was only 4 years old. Well, less than 4 years old because it's just the beginning of 2025. So, it's not ready for prime time. Probably never will be. Maybe great for generating electricity in the middle of nowhere in a desert, out in the mountains or something where you don't want to put a whole big power grid in. It costs a fortune. Yeah, put up a windmill. Go ahead. Just don't expect to be all that reliable. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.